Well, I have to tell you, I was down in Ottawa the first big weekend of the truckers. It had a festival feeling there. It was amazing. It was happy. Canadian flags, people singing the anthem, people chanting the word freedom. It was wonderful. It was fun. And that's why Trudeau had to destroy it, because he was the sunny ways guy and he couldn't be the no one could be. He went full martial law, full riot gear. I haven't been back to Ottawa in over 10 days, but I am so proud of our Rebel team who has been there in some cases since the very beginning without a break. And I'm glad for our staff literally working 7 days a week. Joining me now from the location, one of our reporters who's been working very hard. His name is Lincoln Jay, and he joins me now via Skype. Lincoln, great to see you. You've been working so hard. I saw you late last night trying to get past a few cops who were just bullies. Like, it felt like some nightclub bouncer. I'm a little bit older than you, Lincoln, but when I was a youngster, I would go to a nightclub sometime, and there was this whimsical... A bouncer might let you in if he liked you, if you gave him $20, if you were a pretty girl, whatever. The complete capriciousness of it, the complete lawlessness of it. I have to say, it offended me when I was a young man. I thought, who the heck is this loser deciding my life? Now, that you don't like it, don't go to a club. But here you are in your capital city, and a bunch of thuggish cops will stop you every few blocks. Maybe they'll let you pass, maybe they won't. Maybe if they like you, maybe they'll banter, maybe they'll let you in, maybe they'll make you run around, maybe they'll arrest you, maybe they'll punch you. It really is, it looks lawful because they've got badges, but it is actually lawless. Every cop is the king of his block and very punitive. I was disgusted with how they treated you and David Menzies last night.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So we went on the Twitter live, right? I don't think a lot of people can understand what exactly is going on in Ottawa unless you're here. And, simply we had to leave our hotel and get some drinks and some food. And we kind of expected that we were going to get hassled just because you saw our colleague Alexa Levant was hassled in the morning. And simply showing so they wanted proof that we were staying inside the red zone. And we showed our key cards, but that wasn't good enough. We got Alexa Levant, who booked the rooms for us, to send us the verification, the booking number. That wasn't good enough. They had to call the hotel, and Alexa actually had to go down to the lobby and say our names to allow us through. That's what Ottawa's like right now.
And that's just all made up. There's no basis for that. There's nothing in the law that gives the police those powers. You use the phrase red zone. The cops can make up whatever term they want. They cannot stop peaceful protests. You're not even protesters. You're just citizens walking. You're journalists documenting their misconduct, and they're abusing you. I mean, we did play earlier the interaction when a cop abused Alexa Levant and said, she presented her independent press gallery laminated card, which isn't even, that's not even a rebel thing. That's an independent press gallery thing. And the cop, ta-da, poof, I've decided to make myself arbiter of which journalists can or can't go by. It's complete lawlessness. The fact that they have a badge and a gun makes it even more terrifying. At least if they were just some city bureaucrat, you could laugh at them and say, to hell with you. But in this case, they might shoot you. They literally shot Alexa. These are thugs. And I got to tell you, Lincoln, 50 years, I just turned 50 last week. 50 years I was pro-cop. I cannot say that anymore. I understand there are some good cops out there, but they certainly have not made their presence felt.
Yeah, it's just a tough situation all around. Like you said, there's no grounds for who they're letting past these perimeters, these barricades that they've essentially set up. Our friend Andrew Lawton from True North, he simply showed his Twitter verification, and he was allowed through to go to Parliament Hill and to report. We're watching in our hotel room, CBC, and their journalists are literally right past the barricades, reporting, doing whatever they want. But us, Rebel News journalists, are being hassled going to the corner store. It's just it's
You know what? It's such a
unbelievable.
joke for those who don't know. I mean, Andrew Lawton, good friend of ours, independent journalist, but a little Twitter verification blue check mark. It's like sort of a snob appeal thing. And for some cop to say, "Oh, that gives you human rights. That lets you have mobility rights and freedom of the press because you have a blue check mark on your social media account." Like, it's so absurd and ridiculous. But and one block over, a cop will have a completely different stand, and another block over. Like, I saw there was some lady cop who was abusing you, and I just thought, you know what? She's got some chip on her shoulder, obviously. She obviously hates Rebel News, and and when you asked, and I called David up because I saw this live. I said, David, get her name and badge number, and as soon as, and because we're going to make a professional complaint against her, well, then she went into I'm going to get you mode. These are the most abusive people, and the reason I know that, Lincoln, is because over the last 2 years, the cops who are restrained, the cops who care about civil liberties, the cops who have the serve and protect attitude, they've either retired, been reassigned, or have learned to shut up. And it's the worst cops who are flourishing. It's the thugs who are being promoted. It's the bullies and the little tin pot dictators that are having their way. But I say again, it comes from the head down. And it's no different from the chief, and it's no different from Bill Blair, the Minister of Emergency Preparedness, the butcher of G20, and it's no different from Trudeau himself. Would you agree with the statement that Canada is under martial law?
Yeah, well, if I think anyone could agree with that statement if they simply tried to get into the downtown core of Ottawa. They literally will not let anyone near the Parliament of Canada unless you have work purposes, whatever they deem is work, and or if you're living in the area. So it's just crazy, you know. Growing up in Canada, I just never ever would have imagined that this is the state of affairs here. It's just sad, to be honest. And I've been on the ground here since the 28th of January, you know, in the thick of it, you know, talking to people every day, and it's just been nothing but peace. It's just an extremely peaceful environment, a family environment, and to see the heavy-handedness of the police on Friday and Saturday, it's, you know, it's honestly just sad. That's the only word for it, and it's just crazy that this is Canada right now.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way too. I am sad for the country. I'm also sad for, you know, it's like the end of, it's like in the Garden of Eden when you eat from the tree of knowledge and you fall from grace and you're no longer in that Eden time. Canada used to be this wonderful country, liberal democracy, a safe country, and all that's gone now. And so I lament its passing, but I also lament that part of my life where I believed those things is gone as well. It's very sad. Well, listen, I appreciate you being there. Please stay there a little while longer. It sounds like Trudeau wants this to be a permanent emergency. I call that a coup. And it'll be interesting to see if any courts do anything to stop him. I think the Conservative Party is slowly trying to find its courage, having lost it 2 years ago. I don't know how this is going to end, but I have made a promise to our viewers, Lincoln, that we will continue to show them the other side of the story. I think people find that incredibly valuable because at least we can see with our eyes what's happening. And I know we won't get that kind of information from CBC or CTV. It was quite something when the New York Times reported that the cops were going around arresting people at gunpoint. There was about 10 or 20 Canadian journalists saying, no, they weren't, literally trying to convince the New York Times that they didn't see what they saw. And I think it was the worst moment of Canadian journalism in my lifetime, watching these hacks trying to tell the New York Times, no, it didn't happen, or if it happened, we need you to forget that it happened. It's the worst thing. Last word to you, Lincoln.
Yeah, well, just to add to that point, I thought that's why it was very important that I went live that day. You know, I wanted to be live the whole time so that people can really see for themselves and they can't argue with what they're seeing. You know, we just point the camera and show what's happening. That's what separates our journalism from the legacy media here in Canada. We're not spinning the narrative. We're just simply showing people what is happening on the ground. And when you look at the footage, when you look at the live streams, we were live streaming all day, basically Friday and Saturday. There was just simply no arguing the fact that it was out of control, it was chaotic, and there was really no need for Justin Trudeau to invoke this Emergencies Act, which ultimately brought in this extreme use of force from different units of law enforcement all across Canada. It was a sad couple of days.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.